3:35. So at 3:30 we stopped letting people in at the door.
Right.
Yes.
4 o'clock the club had to be closed. And I remember that night, for some reason, I remember the time, it was 3:35. This guy walked up on me. He had about 8 people with him. And he said to me, he says, can we go in? I said, no, man, we're closed. And he goes, well, how can I get in? I said, well, you can't. He says, what about if I take care of you? I'll never forget this. And I said, well, you're going to have a lot of money. He reached in his pocket. I don't know how much this guy had, but it looked like a softball of $100 bills. This guy gave me, listen to this, he gave me $8,000. $8,000 just for him to go in with his crowd for 20 minutes. And when he left out the door, he gave me another, I think, 1,000 just for being a nice guy. I'll never forget that, man. And yeah.
Every now and then.
I would have went home skipping.
Every now and then. Yep.
That was the most money I made at one time. I've made more for like New Year's night. Guys, New Year's night was the best night for making money. Because everybody wanted to party and all the rich guys was out. But that was the most money I made at one time, in a club, in a matter of like 5 minutes. I made $8,000. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that on a holiday. It's another thing I wanted to add. Nowadays, and again, I reiterate myself, not every promoter, not every head of security, and not every owner of a club does it, but a majority of them do it. Back when I used to work and back when you used to work, you used to get double pay for holidays.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you made 100, you made 200. Now,
right,
they're trying to give you like a night's pay plus half, or a night's pay plus $25 extra.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Horrible.
It's always double.
It's sad that the amount of money that bouncers and security don't make now. You know what I mean? And they don't even have, like we were able to finagle our way through, different making money different ways. And they're not even able to do that no more. And it's really sad that, guys are still coming home. What are you going to make 3 nights a week, $125? Think about that.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with $125 3 nights a week? It's sad. It's sad. But
another quick story. I didn't mean to cut you off. So there's another quick story I just remembered. It was one night you called me and you said, "You want to work tonight? It's going to be me, Shihan Lee, yourself, and Nitro, which is Kevin.
Yeah.
Is it Kevin?
Kevin, yeah, Nitro.
We're going to work in the Oxford Club in Brooklyn. The old mansion. Bismarcky was the DJ.
Yeah.
Bismarcky was the DJ, right? So we in there, again, a bewitching hour.
Shit.
Around maybe, I think it was closing at 4. It was around 2 o'clock in the morning. We're walking around, Sunset comes around, checks up on us, and then who walks in? Mike Tyson and his entourage. I don't know if you remember that. When he comes in,
came in so many places, but go ahead.
Some guy tried to touch, some guy stepped up to Tyson and said, a couple of words. From what I heard after, when the people were talking about it, that he groped a girl. So the guy stepped up to him. I don't know what he was thinking of, which is not right, but, he stepped up to him. And before Tyson did anything, his entourage went crazy on the guy, beat him. And you looked at us like to fall back. There's only 4 of us. And this place had over 2,000 people in there. So you looked at us and you was like, fall back with your hands, let it die down. Once it died down, which that's what happened, we were able to, escort the people out. They left. Tyson left. And I looked through the mirror and somebody else tried to step to him, and all I seen was the body go down. Boop. Because it had slits of glass that you could see through. But it was another good call because, to interact on a high situation like that, it would have been something else. But just to let it die down, and all the experience Sensei has, for those years that taught me, through the years to watch out. But that was another celebrity that I came. I seen Mike a couple of times. One time also at Les Poulet, he had came in. Him and his sister.
Jackie
But
Rowe.
Jackie.
Jackie
Jackie.
Rowe.
Yeah.
I
She
didn't
was
know
a troublemaker at times too.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
She was.
If she didn't know you, she was a terror.
Yeah.
She came through.
Nice person if you got alone, but sometimes a lot of trouble started because she was there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And this was his biological sister?
No.
No. Just called her a sister.
But treated her that way too.
Yeah. And I worked so many places where he walked in. And most of the time he was always quiet and he stood in the corner. But people would gravitate to him, and it was always the drunk guy that wanted to start with him. And he always handled it very well,
He came with
and there's
30
times
people,
where you just can't. Depends on the mood. There's times you don't want anybody messing with you. You don't want to sign somebody autograph. You don't want to be harassed. You don't want to be called champ. You just want to come and have a nice time. And I know. And I remember that particular night. And what I would always tell club owners, you never let more guys in at one time than you have security.
Right.
So if you had a guy that came and he had his boys, he had 20 guys, and you only had 10 security, you don't let 20 guys get in, because if a fight break out, these guys are going to jump you.
Yep.
And that particular night, it was a big club. It was the amount of security we had was totally disproportionate to the amount of people that were there. There was only like 4 or 5 of us, but they had a couple of thousand people. There was 4 of us. And Tyson had maybe 20 guys with him.
He had 30 guys with him. I've seen 30.
And not including the other people in the club that was going to take cheap shots at us, just because we were security. How many guys you're seeing get jumped in security just because they were security? They didn't do anything wrong. They were just security. So let's beat him up. So I remember, we went through.
One of the things is with even all that commotion going down until it died down, because it was no exaggeration, as we all have seen, there was at least, I want to say 10 guys on this guy beating him down. He was so bad that they sat him up, gave him water, and he fell right back out because he was so beat up so bad, But they never approached the security, and they seen the security around. We walked around. They knew who was security there, But they wasn't gonna they could also tell that ain't nobody was gonna, challenge the security, because we all have respect, and there's all respect. People coming in, when they first went, how you doing, blah, blah, this is that way. Sometimes and then they know you. If they come regularly and you work there regularly, you get to know them. And a lot of them, you interact with them. So they won't, let stuff go down either.
Right.
But it was a crazy night that night,
Yeah.
But the call was good, died down, everything just died right down. They did their purpose and they all left.
Right.
Guys, I don't want to go too long, so this is
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Say
Well-
again. Jake, what's up?
I said I don't want to go too long. So is this good for part 1?
This is good for part 1, and just want to say to our audience, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bouncers and Bodyguards. We want to thank you for coming out. We ended that messed up, but we'll let Glenn end it.
No, we'll do a separate intro and outro. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
That's good. Well,
Bush.
thank you. I'm feel good and honored, and I thank you all. And it's good to be real, because that's what life's about, being real, being
That's what
yourself.
it's about, being real. Especially you can't get no more real than being a bodyguard and a bouncer.
Yeah.
Can't get no
Let
more
me
real than
explain
that.
something else that my son said expressed to me for many years. We're human, we make mistakes. And God is the only one that doesn't make mistakes. So we're not perfect.
Right.
So we're allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And it was a good thing to, carry on through life. Because some people think they don't ever make mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Yeah, that's not true.